And we've had the road melting 2 years ago. We've had the antelope and the buffalo and the deer running away. So is something happening up there?
Well, Paul, I'm glad you reminded me of that, because after I did that video, I had a comment from someone in that area, and I saved it. I'm glad you reminded me.
Okay.
But it was the guy's name, and thank you, his name is Messiah Watcher. He's one of our YouTube watchers.
Okay.
And he's right after I did the video, he said, Jesse, last week our family drove through this desert area, and we're talking about where we're having the quakes. My son graduated from the United States Marine Corps boot camp 6/3/2016. Said there were spot fires everywhere. Check this out, Paul. The air temperature hovered around 118, 119. The asphalt was mushy.
What?
Transmissions were overheating in the cars, and trucks were broke down everywhere. At night, the temperatures still were around 100 degrees. Once in San Diego, it got much better, but we had to go back. You know, San Diego's where we have our Marine base.
Right.
But once we had to go back, said much better on the way back. It was so hot, and this is important because we're going through a solar minimum. We tried to travel at dark. The UV was so bad, sunburns. We got through the car glass. We got, it says, seems the heat followed us, and that's what we're seeing now as they ended up going back to Houston, Texas. But that's amazing, and I say that comment.
Well, my son is at that Marine base down there at Camp Pendleton. He's a U.S. Navy, but he trains with the Marines. And they, the sweltering heat in that area. But you're talking about roads melting, transmissions of cars overheating, and people getting sunburnt through the windshield, which is just about insane. So there's something going on. There's something beyond normal taking place here.
The image that I sent you that was black with the circles, Paul, if you've got that, Mark, if you can pull that up, it will help what I think is going on.
Okay, he'll pull that up.
Okay. I'm not watching the live feed because there's such a delay. It's throwing my conversation off. I'm just listening.
Okay, he's got it. He's got the. There's two images there on it. Is that it, bro?
Yeah, one I've overlaid, but there's two. You can put the one without the information typed in to the right first. Now I'm going to pull it up so I can see the image myself. But what we're looking at is now it says polar motion, right? At the very top, if you can see it. I'm not watching your feed.
Okay, yeah.
Now, there's three circles.
Yep,
the first circle is 2013.
Okay, we're looking at it.
That's the top of the magnetic pole of the Earth. That's the wobble distance. 2014, you see how the wobble increased?
Yep.
2015, it increased.
Yep.
Now, the last line is 2016, and it's still wobbling further out. In other words, as a top loses its speed, you spin a top.
Yeah.
The wobble increases. Now, where it gets red at the 2016 point is future predictions for the rest of the year. We're at mid-year. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, the other image I had put, which you can use this one or use the one, something that you and I watched together, and we were the only two on YouTube that said that our sun was not destroyed. There's a dip in the top right corner of 2013. That's a straight line dip.
Yeah.
See that? That happened on November 28, 2013, as sun made perihelium around the sun and exploded. And what I think happened, we had a magnetic slip because it was so strong. It didn't strike the Earth. The sun, I never thought it would.
Yeah, we got that image up there now where you point right at it. And
that I watched it live. I'm not looking back at that. I did a video on this.
You're saying that was when Ison...
that date.
That date.
Exact time. It was on my birthday, by the way.
Yeah, you know what, Jesse, you and I were the only ones that whenever Ison come around the perihelium and came out of there, we were the only ones that were talking about the fact that it was still there, it's still out there. I can't understand why everyone else. I think people didn't want it to survive, and when it did, they were nervous.
It was going to be multiple nuclei. Remember, Paul, for a month out, I was saying this thing is going to split apart.
Yeah.
And it did because it was already splitting apart.
Yep.
But anyway, that particular graph showing the increase of the magnetic pole is showing that we're in a solar minimum and the rotation of our planet is slowing down. And every time we do this, we go into a solar minimum and a in certain cases, a mini ice age. We went through the moderate minimum, then we went through another one back when James Madison was president of this country. Now,
wow.
And that caused the migration from the Northeast to the West, where we had the Indian Wars and things like this, war with Mexico, because the crops froze. I think the year was 1815. Mount Tobias exploded in Southeast Asia. All right. Now, that year was okay in the United States and Northern Europe, but by 2016 of spring, it was 11 times more powerful than Mount St. Helens. But the ash had circumnavigated the Earth.
Okay.
And by 1916, the crops failed across the world in the Northern Hemisphere, Europe and the United States. People starved, disease spread, and migration started moving out. People that next year moved out of the Northeast because they didn't know if it was going to continue. Now, that's just one of the things that happened.
That is amazing information that, no one ever talks about it historically. I talked to a guy when I was in Washington State, and maybe you can answer this. I'm sure you probably can. And so he's an 86-year-old preacher. And he said, the reason I live out here is because I'm from Nebraska and from Oklahoma and then into Nebraska. And my family grew up in the Dust Bowls of the late 1930s. And he said, nothing would grow. The wind blew, sagebrush blew. There was nothing, there wouldn't rain. The sky was black. Nothing would grow. We literally got out of there with a shirt on our back and headed west to try to find work to eat or to make it. And I'm thinking, what caused this? What caused this? Was there some kind of major event somewhere else in the world? So you're saying that a massive volcano eruption in Asia could have a major impact of certain parts of the planet later.
Major impact, Paul. We were nowhere near the population density, and so nobody thought about it. But you can look up Mount Tambora, 1915, and you know what? The newspapers were infatuated with it at that time. It reminds me of today. Was the election of 1915. James Madison was president, and people were running, and the polls were being shown in the newspapers in 1915.
Wow.
In 1916, they nearly froze to death in the north. And in Europe, massive deaths, crop failures, record water. It was called the year without a summer in the United States.
And that's never talked about because, of course, the population density was lower, and so it kind of slid on by, and information wasn't as available as we have now, instantaneous. I mean, here you and I are sitting here talking with large crowds of people discussing things that they could have never done then. So are we on the brink with Yellowstone? Are we on the brink of another one of these, or is there another volcano anywhere in the world that is potentially dangerous to bring about a catastrophic change in climate?
Yeah, of course there are, Paul. But one of the things I wanted to say about this, about the Jakarta Mount Tambora thing, is it was so far away, but it happened in a solar minimum.
Okay.
And they say the stronger quakes happen during solar minimums, which doesn't quite make sense, but it does. On the surface, it doesn't make sense because the Earth's magnetic field is controlled by the solar stream, and the Earth's core is a dynamo or an electric motor. The higher the charge or the higher the solar stream being applied to the north and south poles or the negative and plus of your motor, the faster it spins. So as that electrical charge from the sun slows, so does the dynamo or the motor of our planet. If you see what I'm saying? So we're slowing because solar minimum means a decrease in solar wind and sunspots and everything like that. So as we slow down the quake, we have solar minimums, we have mini ice age, and we have an increase in volcanic activity. So as we went through this minimum, Mount Tambora erupted and greatly affected our planet. So there's no way to date, will we have another Yellowstone quake? But we just had one in 1959. People forget about it.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and so that's important to remember. But this wobbling is in this black image, is very important because we're going into solar minimum. We're going to see decreased temperatures in the winter. We're going to see increased volcanoes, which will lead to increased earthquakes.
Yes, yes. And that's really all biblical. We know that Jesus is telling us that these type of apocalyptic signs, these are all part of the birthing pains of, you know, the end of the age and the coming of the Lord. And I think people need to understand that, you know, all through the Bible, anytime the Lord talked about a change in the spiritual atmosphere, he immediately told you about the change that would take place in the physical manifestations of the earth or the space or the ground. So let me ask you a question. I didn't send you an email saying prepare for this, but since this has come out on the news today, these two huge sinkholes that are in Texas. Now, the one's been there since 1980, and the other one since 2002. One of them is 180 meters wide, and the other one is 270 meters wide. Those are huge holes, and they're both unstable. We're hearing the one in Wink, Texas, the other one's in Kermit, Texas, and not only are they huge, but they're starting to cave around them. What is your understanding of what's happening there? Is this a danger to the population of Wink, Texas, and to Kermit, Texas?
It's a danger to the population of the entire planet. I've sent you one other image that's blue on one side and has graph on the left
All right,
side.
Brock's got it.
It says
pull that
Earth
up.
evolution. I think it has Earth evolution on it.
Okay, yeah, Brock's got it. He's going to pull that up.
Tell me when it's there again. I can't see it, Paul.
All right, he just now uploaded it, so it should show here any moment. Probably in the next 30 seconds or so, it'll be there. And folks, we're talking with BP EarthWatch. Of course, you can watch his channel. He's got a powerful YouTube channel, BP EarthWatch, or go to his website at www.bpearthwatch.com, I believe. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, bpearthwatch.com. There's the graph. There you go, Jesse.
Okay, there's two. On the left is from 1590 to 2010. These are they went back, and that is the movement of the magnetic pole of the planet. And you can see vast movement there. Now, the one on the right goes back to BC, 0 BC.
Okay.
You see that?
Yep.
That and those points are where the magnetic pole was on those years. And the way they can tell that is because of the changes in the magnetic pole. It even changes in earthquake magma as it hardens, Paul. It will align with the magnetics in the stone, magnetic particles. But you can see one thing about the chart. Notice that we're getting closer to the center of the planet each year. It went out after 0 BC. It started going right, wide. Now it's starting to center back. Now, that could be for several reasons. But this oil thing and these sinkholes are directly related, and it could relate to the extreme wobbling that we see sometimes on the planet. Paul, in 1970, we reached peak oil in the world.
Guys, you just saw part one of a 4-part series of over an hour interview. We went back and redoing them because we used so many diagrams on the show, and most people couldn't see those diagrams that we're overlaying them, so you will have an idea of what we were discussing. Now, we've done this before, but if you call Paul Begley, email his website, paulbegleyprophecy.com, you can get a free Bible. Not only will he buy the Bible, he will also pay the postage, and that could be very important. Some of us use electronic Bibles in these days and times, but as this earth changes and times change, you may need a physical copy. So if you need one, get it. If you have one, help other people get it. You can go here and donate right here on the donate page. I'll put a link to a site. And what we did it before, we raised a lot of money. We put a lot of Bibles in people's hands that didn't have them. That could be important to them. It could be important to you. So just a couple bucks, if that's all you got, that will help him do it. He can't do it by himself. The guy works his tail off every day, him and Heidi, and let's help him. That's all I got to say. Part 2 will be up soon, guys. Heads up. Be safe.